Fresh Insights.
I'm Micah Solomon, and I'm sitting down today with Jose Morales, who's the Chief Revenue Officer at Freshworks. Hey, I am curious how you got here, and knowing you, probably it was on a bicycle, but that is not really what I meant. Do you mind talking about career highlights and then maybe wrapping it into how they led you to be
Sure.
here?
I spent the prior 10 years at Atlassian. Atlassian, for those who don't know, is a company that makes the products Jira and Confluence. It's a high growth company. I was there from about sub 100 million to close to 2 billion in revenue, where I built the sales organization and a lot of the go-to-market customer facing organizations, as well as spent time in corporate development and ran a product line. But before that, other startups, larger companies, always in the software business. But I'm here because, like Atlassian 10 years ago when I spoke to them, or companies earlier in my career, there was something about the company that seemed so interesting. We had phenomenal traction. We don't quite have the name brand recognition that you would think for a company that has our revenue traction, our number of customers, and our global coverage. And it's a company with a great culture. So all these things, when I learned about the company, it really made me interested, and I knew I could add a lot of value for the company.
So what are the essentials for creating growth at Freshworks? And are these specific to Freshworks' situation, or are they universal?
Well, I think all CROs, when they're thinking about what the go-to-market model should be or what's going to be the essentials for success, we should look at all the different examples from companies and take that into account. But obviously, we're not all in the same business. Like, we could apply Atlassian's model here or Salesforce's model here, and that's not going to work exactly right for us because we're not in the same markets. It's not always the same buyers. It's also not the same time. Like, so if a company is in the same business as you, they may have started a number of years earlier where they had different conditions. But for us, at the end of the day, what we're really trying to do is make great software that is easy to try, easy to buy, easy to use. This is all part of kind of what everybody calls today product-led growth, or PLG. And in some respects, this is really before, is really the open source model. So before PLG was PLG, there was open source where you gave away free software. And generally speaking, more of a developer world would download it and start using it. And then later on, you could go and try to monetize it. One of the unique things about it is that since it allows for not a tops-down motion where it really comes from the bottom, you're really providing the user or the smaller team more power. You're allowing them to make decisions for the tools that they want to use. So if you don't make it a great experience for them, they will end up going to look for a different tool and adopt a different tool, because there is, without a doubt, an option that is doing product-led growth, another option that they can try. So it's really important that you take care of your end customer, the end user, and that they like using your product.
So as you zero in on product-led growth, what are the elements that are universal regardless of stage?
Well, I think at the end of the day, making your product, the ease of use of your products really doesn't matter where you are. You want to make sure that you build great products because your customers are really, your users are really part of your marketing plan. You want them saying good things about you. You want them taking you to new companies. You don't want them to outgrow you as well, particularly if, as they get bigger. And it really doesn't matter how big you get as a company. You want that same experience. You want that great out-of-the-box experience. You want that great usage experience. And if you take your eye off of that, you will be punished by the users in the end. And this doesn't, there's a lot of companies like Freshworks where we started bottoms up with really small markets to SMB, small customer, target customer. I think the things that you do with product-led growth to make it easy to use your product, easy to buy, doesn't really depend on either how big you are as a company, nor how big your customer gets. And the sense is that all those same things that you learn and things that you apply to your product and to your processes are the same whether you're a billion-dollar company or your customer's a billion-dollar company. At the end of the day, you want your customers to love your product and take it to the next company. Freshworks, we started as a small company. Our target market was smaller companies. And as we have moved up market into mid-size and larger companies, our approach hasn't changed. We really still believe that our larger customers and our mid-sized customers expect that same kind of customer experience and product experience regardless. I think a lot of traditional companies that were more tops down, you couldn't demo the product. You had to get a lot of services companies to help you get the product working. So it was a really heavy lift. I think nowadays, even those large companies expect to be able to demo and try your product in a confined environment easily, and then once you decide to buy it, get it up into production as quickly as possible. And product-led growth allows you to do that better because you're designing for simplicity.
Has the pandemic changed the approach you take to building a business?
Well, obviously the pandemic has affected all of us in different ways. But outside of that, I think that it hasn't impacted that much in the way we work day to day. We didn't have to rethink how we worked. Most SaaS software companies or high-tech companies were already using chat products or video communication, or had lots of people that were remote anyway. So most of us, I think, just didn't miss a beat in terms of just working from home. Now, it's been difficult to not be in an office setting. It's been difficult to not visit customers, but I think we've continued just fine. For a lot of companies, and for a lot of our customers that are more traditional businesses, it's been a big hit because they hadn't actually gone through a digital transformation yet. In terms of they were really built to do work only in the office and not asynchronously or not remote or not over video. And so that's been a big impact to them. So a lot of them have had to accelerate their digital transformation. I've met with a number of senior leaders of different companies who thought that you could never work from home in their business. It wouldn't work. And of course, here they are realizing it did. And so many of them have allowed more workers and more types of jobs to be remote eligible, even after the pandemic is over. Once the pandemic does end, I don't think we'll stay where we are, though. I think we will go back to having more in-person events. It may just be a different mix. I think we'll go back to visiting customers, but it'll be different. And I don't know exactly how it worked, but it won't be where we were before the pandemic, and it won't be where we were or where we are today during the pandemic. It's going to be this kind of a new way of working. If you think about digital transformation before and after the pandemic, or I'd say before and during, a lot of traditional businesses that did all of their interactions with their customers in person or in a very manual way, or where the customer had to come into the store, for instance, or into the office, or where all the work happened with employees in the same office. When the pandemic started, this was actually quite a difficult transition for them. Right. So they've realized how important it is for them to actually now invest in digital transformation. So those customer interactions have to be available in a digital way, not just by someone coming into your location or coming to the office or you going to theirs. And that's going to be the case. That is going to be now I think a lot of customers now. Our customers are expecting a digital experience, and they don't want an in-person experience. So if these companies need to accelerate their investment in digital transformation in order to really survive and compete, and during the pandemic and beyond.
At Freshworks, you started by selling to SMBs, and then you moved to enterprise?
Well, we started with SMB because I think in the early days we wanted to provide just the basic needs for a small company. And as time progressed, we're able to make the product richer in features, but allow us to move up. So a couple things happened to move us into the mid-market. First of all, a lot of our customers grew. So they started small companies and they started growing. So eventually we just had mid-market companies. And then we would see smaller groups or smaller divisions within larger companies that would come in and start a trial of our product and buy. So we started noticing there was a great opportunity. And over time, what we've been able to do is move up market and still service our smaller customers without making the product too complex, and provide the full feature richness that mid-market companies really need.
Is that an approach that can work for other companies? Is it a good approach?
Absolutely. I actually think that starting from smaller companies or smaller teams and moving larger is a great model, because it allows you to build in the simplicity, how your customer journeys work. That is all great basic learning that can apply to larger companies. I see larger companies that try to build for the Fortune 500 and then move down, and that's much more difficult in my mind, because you generally haven't created a really easy product experience. We build for the Fortune 500,000, not just the Fortune 500. But at the end of the day, companies that are building for a tops-down motion, they're really building for a very person-to-person sales approach and probably a services-oriented implementation. And so you haven't built simple customer journeys from the trial side to buying it, to making it really easy to get going. So it's very hard to move that down and to make your product, in essence, simpler for smaller use cases. Versus, I think it's much easier to go the other direction, where you build the simpler use cases and then just add in layers of better functionality. And you've already built this really easy to use or really customer-friendly user journey. It's easier to add on sales organizations and services organizations on top of that. I do think that there are businesses that really are SMB-only businesses, right? So, I think in our case, we have the ability to move up. We're making products that can actually translate really well from small teams to large teams. But without a doubt, there are some businesses out there that can be exclusively SMB, really kind of like small office, home office businesses or prosumer businesses.
When you're determining product market fit. What are the keys to succeeding there?
Well, first and foremost, I think product market fit becomes pretty obvious. Are customers buying your product and are they using it, daily in their lives or vigorously? Like if someone buys your product and you notice usage comes off,
Right.
something's wrong. You're going to have a hard time. You're going to churn your customers and you're not going to grow. So the most important thing you can look at once you've sold your product or if someone's even trialing it is really usage statistics, right? So that's the first thing that really nails product market fit. And then in a customer with many users, is it expanding to other users or other teams or other people? And that's kind of a core tenet of really good product-led growth. Is that product-led growth won't actually work if you don't have product market fit in some respects, right? Because you want the product to continue to bring other people, other teams into it. So we set up certain types of KPIs that we track. We also get feedback from our customers to make sure that they're enthusiastically liking the product. But at the end of the day, once your customer buys your product, if you see them using it daily, hourly, whatever it is, and then the usage expanding, that's when you know that you really have something that people want. And ideally, within a product-led growth, each customer becomes easier to attract as well.
So if an organization or someone in an organization is looking to penetrate the enterprise segment, do you have any advice you're willing to share?
Sure. I think a lot of it depends on how your product is bought or sold in some respect and who your buyer is. If you want to get in, there's great ways to get in from the entry level, right? So if you make your product really easy to try and buy, you can maybe get, particularly if you're an engineer or software development tool, you can get an individual developer to use it and start expanding usage. And then your sales play can be going in and telling, look, you're using our product a lot. Let's talk about standardizing on our platform or something to that effect. If you build a product that is more of a broad solution across the entire company, then you need to figure out how you're going to get to the right decision maker within the company. So you want to make sure that you probably have a sales organization, a really good marketing motion to get the right messaging to the right buyer to help you win. I think the big thing you need to understand is large companies have a lot of concerns around compliance, around security. So you need to make sure that there's a risk-taking aspect of using your product, and you have to make sure that your sales approach takes that into consideration.
AI seems pretty central to where the customer experience is heading. How do we go about making it accessible, especially when it comes to SMBs?
Right, well, AI is definitely, all the rage in many companies today. And it is the way we're going to make interactions between companies and their customers much easier and much lighter weight, like Freddy, our own product that we use. But I think that what you see is the democratization of technology. And where in the past, I think really complex, complicated products were only available to the largest enterprises, you're seeing that these tools are being brought right to the SMB. Like we're embedding them in our products. So it's something that's available to all of our customers. You don't have to, it's not complicated to set up. It's not expensive to get going. So we just need to make it simple. It's really consumerization as well. And you're seeing a lot of AI within consumer tech as well. So that's, every company, be they large or small, is going to expect it to be right in their products. So I believe that all of the best technologies over time will be available to all customers of all sizes. And AI is part of that.
Now, when you said Freddy, I made a little sign of dog ears on my head, but can you explain a little bit about Freddy?
Yeah, it's our artificial intelligence technology that we've integrated into a number of our products to really help improve the interaction with the software, improve interaction with our customers. So it's just about using a little bit of core technology to make everybody seem smarter and execute more effectively.
So I could tell you enjoy most all of your job, but do you mind telling me what the very best part of it is?
Well, sure. I love go-to-market models, and I love thinking. It's a bit of like playing chess. You're trying to think about what moves you're going to make for the next 4 or 5 moves. And so I'm really interested in general in just looking at different models from different companies, thinking about our different market segments, our different geographies, our different product lines, and think about how are we going to get to our customers, how are we going to attract them, how are we going to get them to use our products, retain, expand. So every day it's very interesting. I find the work very, very fascinating. Every day I don't look forward to Zoom specifically, but I do like working with my colleagues in different areas. So we're very lucky to be working for a great company that's having great traction and with some great employees.
Thanks for joining us. For more information, visit freshworks.com.